Welcome to Home Buying Made Easy, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on mortgages, real estate, and everything the big banks hope you never figure out. I'm Rachel, co-host and producer of the show. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Home Buying Made Easy. I am Michael Dindy, and we are also here with the lovely Rachel, who is our producer extraordinaire and all things decorating, has decided that we would decorate the wall behind me for our studio.
You're telling lies. You're telling lies.
I am not.
Yes, you are.
No. I put the brick wall up, and then I literally FaceTimed you and said,
and you said, hey, I don't know.
What do you want to put on the wall? What do you want to put on the wall?
I was like,
and,
I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care. But then when I started saying, do you want to do this? No, don't do that. Do you want to do this? No. What, you want to put this light in it? No, I don't like light. I hate light. Let's do it in the dark.
Hire me as an interior designer, guys.
All right. So today we are going to talk about a unique subject that a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
And that subject is real estate agents.
Yes, indeed.
So hit it. What's the question?
The first question or statement is, what's the difference between a buyer's agent and a listing agent?
That's not a statement.
I know that's a
that
question.
Was a question.
I was going to say a statement, but then I switched it up.
And you made it a question.
Yeah. I realized that halfway through my question.
I saw the pause.
Yeah. Because I was trying
in
to
your
think.
eyes. Yep. So the difference between a buyer's agent and a listing agent.
Yes.
A listing agent is the agent that is getting all the information from the seller and taking that property and putting that property on the multiple listing service, and they are listing the house for sale. They also are the ones that coordinate any advertising and any promotion of the home. They would possibly coordinate open houses. And I mean, they are the one side of the transaction that is representing the seller. And when you represent somebody, you are acting on behalf of that particular party. So the seller, whether that's one seller or four sellers or how many ever people own that property, would hire a listing agent to list the house, get it ready. They would get it ready, clean it and tidy it up. And hopefully their listing agent would give them the tips and tricks on how to best present their house. The listing agent would also coordinate taking professional pictures. Well, hopefully they're taking professional pictures, and then get the house ready and marketable. Mm-hmm. So the buyer's agent represents the buyers in the transaction through negotiating, through writing offer, negotiating, inspections, like coordinating an inspector, coordinating with the lender and their appraisal. And I mean, there's just all kinds of pieces of the puzzle that a buyer's agent does on their side as well. So that's the difference between a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, which is called a listing agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hypothetically, can a buyer ever use the listing agent, the seller's agent, in a transaction?
Can they?
Yeah. Is that a good idea?
No. They can, and that happens a lot. That happens where maybe a buyer just thinks, hey, I don't have to worry about it. I'll just go straight to the listing agent, the person that's selling a house. And what they don't understand is that listing agent, in many cases, there are a lot of non-ethical people in this industry. There's totally legitimate and ethical people in this industry too. So I don't want to say throw everybody under the same bus. It's not true. But many times there are agents, listing agents, that will then double dip. They will represent the seller. They're representing the seller, and they are literally the listing agent. They will bring a buyer in that happen to either call the sign or call whoever, and they call and they got in touch with the listing agent, they will call that person, and that person will then make the money on the listing side. They'll make the money on the buying side, and they never actually represented the buyer. They just showed the house, and then they became a facilitator really for the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that in good faith being, it's called a fiduciary. When you're representing a buyer or representing a seller, you are a fiduciary. You have a fiduciary responsibility to that person. So it would be impossible for you to have a fiduciary, at least in my opinion, it'd be impossible for you to have a fiduciary responsibility to a seller and negotiate on their behalf, and have a fiduciary responsibility to a buyer and have the buyer, like, how are you going to negotiate on their behalf if you're negotiating on the seller's behalf? Does that make sense? I just don't know that that's the best choice, and it leaves a lot of gray area of people who say, "Oh yeah, I am totally neutral." Well, no, you're neutral to one thing: your pocketbook.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are neutral to their pocketbook, and so they're going to watch out for that, and they're going to try to figure out, how can I get the most out of this and the most out of this to make it work. That's not acting on behalf of the seller's best interest or the buyer's best interest. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that it's a good idea, just because I think the buyer can really get the raw end of that deal real quick, because the agent could just say, yeah, the seller's not going to do anything. You're just going to have to accept it. Yeah. If you want this house, you got to accept it and not fight for them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. We have a lot of first-time home buyers or people who haven't bought a home yet, like myself, as that is why I'm asking these questions. So if I'm looking for a buyer's agent, what should I be searching for? What should I be on the lookout for in a buyer's agent?
I think the biggest, probably the biggest things is do you feel like it's somebody you can trust? Like, when I think you need to interview them. And when you interview them, I mean, you don't have to make it a formal interview, like, okay, next.
Yeah.
And take, I don't know that that's necessary, but maybe call 2, 3 and just talk.
Yeah.
After you do that. And I mean, another good thing is, if you, let's say, I have a lot of people that'll call, say, hey, I need to get pre-approved for a mortgage. And then I'll start working with them, and they'll say, do you know any good agents? And, I have agent partners that I work with, and I'll gladly refer them to one of our agent partners. And the reason that I do that is because, not because like I benefit from that. Like I don't get any monetary compensation from doing that.
Yeah. What
that does, though, it makes sure, I mean, I've already worked with those agents. I already know how they work. I know how they're wired as far as doing deals with them. So I know that they're good at what they do. And so I'll put those people, I was like, hey, you can pick anybody you want, but I've worked with these, and these people are really great. Mm-hmm. And what that does is that eliminates some of the having to go, and I still recommend people checking it out for themselves, go and do their own research. But even though they're doing their own research, if you have a recommendation from somebody that you trust, that can go a long way as well. If not, I would say make sure you're interviewing, asking some questions. Some of the main things that you need to know is it somebody you can trust? And in order to do that, you actually have to have a conversation with them and make sure that you connect.
Yeah.
Like, make sure your personalities connect, and it's not like clashing. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't be any fun.
Yeah, it's true. Does a buyer's agent cost any money?
Excuse me. Does a buyer's agent cost any money?
Yeah.
This is a trick question that she's trying to set me up on. According to NAR, the National Association of Realtors, a buyer's agent does cost money, and a listing agent does cost money. You have the right as a consumer to negotiate anything that you would like to negotiate with any person that you would like to negotiate with in the real estate transaction. So, with that being said, what typically happens in most markets is for the past, I don't know how many years, 20, 30, maybe, the seller has, in general, paid for the representation of listing and cooperated to pay the buyer agent as well. It is no longer that way, and it must be negotiated as part of the purchase agreement. So we always put that in our purchase agreements now. But that's the long and short of it. It does cost money, but does it cost the buyer? Yes and no. The seller is most of the time willing to cooperate to help with that. And if they are not willing to cooperate and help with that, it would probably reduce the price of the house too, because a lot of times that's kind of built into it. So if it's built into it, technically the buyer's paying it anyway because it's in your loan.
It's true.
Did that answer?
Yeah. That is all the time we have today.
That's all the time we have today. So welcome to Home Buying Made Easy, and we're glad that you showed up again. Feel free to click the like or the subscribe on the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Home Buying Made Easy. If something we covered today helped you see things differently, share this episode with one person who needs to hear it. You might just change their financial future. If you're ready to take your next step, our team is standing by. Call or text us directly at 615-499-6335. You can also reach us at michael@dendyteam.com or use the link in the show notes below. New episodes drop every Monday and Friday. Hit subscribe so you're always first in line. And if this show has brought you value, a 5-star review takes 30 seconds or less and helps more people find us. From our team to you, let's make home buying easy.